Hey, welcome back to ChatterBeans. Sometimes the biggest shifts in life start with one bold decision and a bit of sweat. In this episode, I sit down with MJ, a former teacher who traded the classroom for the spin studio and found more than just a new job. He found joy, community, and himself. We talked about rejection, imposter syndrome, Taylor Swift rides, yes, really, giving up alcohol, and learning to love who you are on and off the bike. This is a story about movement, identity, and what happens when you stop trying to fit in and start showing up as you. Here's MJ. MJ, welcome to ChatterBeans.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired today.
You're tired?
I've just taught 3 classes. So
Well, let's start there. So what do you do?
If
Tell us about you.
if I fall asleep, just give me a little nudge.
No chance of that.
What do I do? I am a SoulCycle instructor.
Okay.
Have you heard of SoulCycle?
Yes, I have.
Um,
But explain for people that might not have.
okay, so if you've never heard of SoulCycle, it's a big American company. It's essentially indoor cycling classes. And it was founded like 19 years ago. And it's basically riding to the rhythm. So it's about bringing community together, having like fun while working out. And yeah, it's just fun. It's just a fun way to work out.
Yeah.
And
It's quite high energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I teach those classes and I basically get paid to ride a bike and like sing along to music.
Yeah.
I'm a performer on a little stage by
Exactly.
myself. Yeah.
So it is very much performative, isn't it? But it's also like actually riding properly and safely and everything like that. But it's so it started in America. When did it come to the UK?
I came to the UK in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you done it?
Since 2019.
Have you? So
I was part of the second round of instructors. So if you don't know SoulCycle, it's kind of like to get a job as a SoulCycle instructor. It's kind of like back in the day X Factor auditions. There's
Yes.
like round 1, round 2, round 3, judges' houses. It's like it's all these steps to get this job. And so I went for an audition the first time when it was coming to London. They did auditions in Equinox gyms.
Oh.
And basically every single person that was a fitness instructor in London turned up to that audition. I think there was like 500 people turned up to audition.
So literally like the X Factor audition queue.
To be a SoulCycle instructor. And I was just like, whoa. Already like in that instance, even though I knew I was talented and good enough, the negative self-talk started happening and I was like, oh, I'm never going to get this. And I went into the audition and I got cut in the first round.
Did you?
So kind of like singing 2 notes to Simon Cowell and being told, dude, you can't do this. So like I just rode a bike and they were like, no, he can't do this.
Really?
So
Was it quite brutal?
Yeah, it was like very quick. It was like ride a bike in a room for like 2 minutes and then wait in this waiting room while all these people talk about you. And then they called out numbers of people who got it. And if they don't call out your number, so not even a name, your number. Um, if they don't call out your number, it's basically like you're free to go.
Wow.
And I just remember in that moment because I kind of put like a lot of pressure on myself to get that job because I really, really wanted it. It's been a dream of mine for like years. So whenever it was just that moment of like, oh my God, I've put so much effort into this. This has been a big dream of mine. And then it was just taken away just like that. And I remember walking back to like a tube station with some of my friends. We all got rejected and we were just like, what now?
Yeah.
But really I was thinking, well, literally what now? Because this has been my dream.
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm not even good enough to pass a first round, what hope do I have? Is this dream actually achievable or realistic?
And why SoulCycle? Because there are many gyms.
Yeah.
Was that that wasn't your first job, was it, as a cycling instructor?
No.
No.
My first job as a cycling instructor was in Third Space, where you have worked.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell into that accidentally.
Yeah.
I used to be a school teacher, high school teacher in London. And I was at kind of like a pivotal point in my teaching career, my 4th year, where I was let's just put the word out. I was depressed because I really didn't like my job anymore. I was really unhappy, wasn't fulfilled. And one of my housemates was like, MJ, come with me to my gym and let's do a cycling class. MJ back then was like, "What? Why the hell would I want to do that?" And she described to me, it's like 90 bikes, everyone's riding to the music, it's fun,
Yeah.
it's sweaty. And I was like, "You're not selling it. I don't want to do this." And she's like, "Just trust me, come along for 45 minutes, see how it makes you feel." And I reluctantly went to that class
Yeah.
and clipped in and was just like the negative Nancy. I was like, this is going to do nothing for
Yeah.
me. And I can't tell you, from like the second song in, I was just like, whoa, like everything that was stressful in my mind, all the stuff that I had going on, all the sadness or doubt or fear or just anything from work would just like disappeared in that moment. And I know it doesn't disappear completely, but I just had this feeling of, oh my God, I really feel lighter,
Yeah.
happier, more joyful. And I left that class thinking, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And so I kept going back to that class every Saturday. And then the girl who owned the company that did that class, it was called Groove Cycle. So it was like dancing on a bike. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Um, she kind of spotted me and she was like, would you ever want to do this? And I'm like, I am doing it. And she was like, no, would you ever want to do what I do? And I just remember thinking, like, talk me, like
Yeah.
me. She's like, no, no, I've watched you. You've got a good swagger on the bike. You've got a good look. Like, would you let me train you up? And I was just like, oh, okay. Like for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I'm always one for like adding new skills to my skill set. So basically, she trained me up over 4 weeks. But what I didn't know is that she was going on holiday in 4 weeks, and she needed somebody to replace her, like for 2 weeks to cover her classes. Um, but she didn't tell me that at the time. She was like, I have faith that this guy is going to be good enough,
That's
and he's
crazy.
going to teach me in 4 weeks. And she trained me up, and then she was like, okay, you're teaching for me for 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, like, and it's in the one in Canary Wharf,
Yeah.
90 bikes, and I was just like, wow, okay, I can do this, I can do
Yeah.
this. And I covered for her for 2 weeks. And then that accidentally turned into like every Saturday, I had a Saturday job whilst being a school teacher. And I realized that like Monday to Friday, I was sad, Mr. Johnson. And then Saturday, I was like happy cycling instructor who like loved life.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is the universe sending me something has to change here.
Yeah.
So I handed in my notice to my head teacher. I was like, I'm going. Told her that I'm leaving to become a fitness instructor. And her response was, but Michael, you can like next year, you're middle leadership now. Next year, you could be senior leadership. And I was thinking, and be here all the time like you. Like
Yeah.
I'm out. I don't care how much money I'm going to make. I'm out, and that's what kind of got me onto the fitness career.
Yeah.
And I haven't really looked back since.
And so those first moments, those first Saturdays that you were doing, how was it?
I mean, in my head, I was amazing.
Yeah.
But when I look at myself now, like what is it, 5, 6, 9 years later, 8 years later, I know I'm amazing now. And I say that like as somebody who's not that confident in themselves, but I've now got to a place where like I know my worth and I know how good I am. I know I'm an amazing instructor now, but back then I was probably like deer in headlights, like counting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
But I thought I was amazing back then. And I think for me, it was more just the joy of like doing something that I feel like I really wanted to do
Yeah.
rather than something I had to do. And I've always had this like, when I was younger, I did amateur dramatics. I mean,
Okay.
which gay didn't do amateur dramatics?
Yeah.
Um, so I've always had like a love of performing and like
Okay.
singing and dancing. And for me, this was like my way of having like a little stage where I could be a performer
Yes.
and kind of perform in front of people. So it was kind of scratching that itch that I'd kind of left from my childhood.
Which is really interesting because there are a lot of fitness instructors that are either in theatre and they do it as their kind of stopgap, or they do both, or they want to get into theatre. And what's interesting about you is that your boyfriend is in theatre, and Oscar's in theatre as well. So
Yeah.
I think we're naturally attracted to certain people, and actually it works quite well, I think,
Yeah.
because it is like performing. You have to, however you're feeling right in the day or the world, you have to kind of switch it off when you get on that bike and in front of people. Do you find that hard though sometimes?
Um, I actually don't find it hard because I don't switch it off.
Okay.
Um, we're kind of trained at SoulCycle to be not like a fitness instructor. Like we're hired for like our personalities and what makes us unique and different. So
Yeah.
if you look at like the schedule of London, like everyone is like completely different, like
Really.
different vibes, different looks, different. Because I'm kind of giving away the secrets, but we're kind of trained to be like for our riders to feel like I want to be his friend or like I could
Yeah.
spend time with that person or just
Okay.
like having a conversation rather than do this, do that, down for four, up for four, because that's like very fitness instructor.
Yeah.
So we're trained to be authentic and like real and relatable. So I find it fake to go into a room if I'm feeling sad or
Yeah. Okay.
have something on my mind and be like, let's go SoulCycle. Like I can't do that. I'm just not fake like that. I can't be
Yeah.
like I can't put on a smile and just be like everything's fine. So when I'm having a bad day, my writers know about it.
Right.
Like I
Okay.
go in and I'm just like straight up with them, not looking your sympathy, but I'm going through something.
Yeah.
I'll give you what I can. You give me what you can.
Yeah.
And I think like the writers that ride with me, I think they respect that because I'm more relatable. And
Yeah.
like even today, I'm having a rough few days, and I've just been honest with them every time I go in and say, "This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'll meet you here. You meet me there."
Yeah.
I think people just respond to that genuineness. So yeah, I don't go in and slap on a smile because I just I can't. I'm the worst liar, so
Are you?
I could no, yeah, which is a good quality in a boyfriend, I guess, because if I can't lie for shit.
Yeah, I think that's a
But
good, definitely. And you've created something quite magical, I suppose. I would use the word with SoulCycle recently, which is around Taylor Swift. Tell us about
Who's Taylor
who's
Swift?
Taylor Swift.
Does anyone know her? Um, yeah, it's actually it's kind of weird because when I started SoulCycle, I knew like 3 Taylor Swift songs.
Really?
I knew Me, Love Story, and You Need to Calm Down.
Right. Okay.
So I was not a Swiftie. I didn't hate her. Like I know a lot of people hate Taylor Swift, but I didn't know enough about her to have an opinion of like I like her music or like
Yeah.
whatever. But when you start off at SoulCycle, it's kind of like it's really hard to get people to come to your class because there's already established instructors who have are filling rooms, and then this new guy comes along. He's like, "Hi, love me, ride with me,"
Yeah.
and I was really struggling. Like, just no, it felt like nobody wanted to come to my class. Um, and one of my managers at the time said, "MJ, would you ever think about doing a Taylor Swift ride?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know her. I don't like her." But she was like, "Go home, watch her documentary on Netflix, and then come back to me and
Really?
tell me if you still feel that way." So I did. I was like, "Okay," and I watched her documentary, and I kind of felt like I saw like who she was as a person, and
Yeah.
also got to like listen to some of her songs in the documentary that I'd never heard,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I actually have a lot of respect for her artistry and her craft and her like her talent." So I came back and I was like, "Okay, I'll try a Taylor Swift ride. I'll do one just to shut you up and see how it goes."
Yeah.
And literally, it was the first time our booking for classes goes live at noon on a Monday. And I was used to looking at my classes and being like 2 people booked in, 5 people booked in. I looked at noon on Monday, and within 5 minutes, that class was sold out. And I was just like,
Crazy.
I was like, okay, I'll do another one next week. I was like, wow. Um, so I kind of started from there,
Yeah.
and then through that, that's brought in like people to my classes that necessarily probably wouldn't maybe come to fitness.
Okay.
And then I've got to know them. I've got to build friendships with them. They're telling me like their favorite Taylor Swift songs. Have you listened to this song? Have you done
Yeah.
this album? And I'm like, okay, I'll put it in next week's class. And I've just kind of over 5 years developed into a 38-year-old Swifty. And I'm not ashamed of it. If anyone out there is listening or watching, I hold my hands up. I'm a
Yeah.
Swifty.
Good
I'm
for
proud
you.
of it.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of built from there. And now I teach 3 classes on a Monday night across our 2 studios that all wait list. And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if you've seen the TikToks and stuff, but
I've seen. Yeah.
it's just 65 people screaming Taylor Swift lyrics at me while also working out. And just like
Yeah.
for me, it's the joy that I see in their faces, and it's built like a little community of people that maybe wouldn't come to like a fitness class. And that's really important for me because this sounds awful, but a lot of the times people that come to like Taylor Swift classes, they kind of seem like they're maybe outsiders or like were maybe at one point in their lives like the misfits or didn't fit in
Yeah.
or kind of on the outside. And then I give them a seat somewhere where they're in something and they're included.
Yeah.
And that's like super important for me because I always want to open up the space for people to feel like they're part of something.
I think cycle, yeah, teaching cycle, as I have done as well, it is that one class, that one fitness class that can bring anyone in because you don't need real skill. People are obviously nervous
Yeah.
in their first few classes, but it is that, and I think it's one of the only fitness classes or exercise classes that you can properly switch off.
Yeah.
You know, when some of the other ones, you've got time to rest, you've got time to whatever, running, your mind gets carried away. But yeah, with cycling particularly, you're fully in it. You know, the music, everything takes you. So, um, I'm quite keen to know, where do you want to take it in the future?
That's a good question to ask at the moment because I'm kind of in a, wouldn't say a midlife crisis. I'm only 38, but I'm kind of feeling like I love what I do at SoulCycle. I know I'm amazing at it and I love that job, but I do have so many other skill sets and talents and skills that can use.
Yeah,
I'm kind of getting like itchy feet thinking I want to utilize some of my other skill sets.
yeah,
Um, my mom sometimes says to me, she's like, "You've just got too many talents. Like, you just don't know what to do with them. Like, pick one job, Michael."
yeah,
But I'm like, I just want to do, I want to have my finger in many pies and like do different things. So, like, I have these skills from like being an ex school teacher. I'm also a graphic designer, an illustrator. I'm a personal trainer. And I've also worked in the last year in like social media and marketing. So, I have all these things that I can do.
yeah,
And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with them. I can't do everything at once, but I just know that this year I want to focus on keeping doing what I'm doing at SoulCycle because I built that up over 5 years, but also like explore all these other things that I know I can do and do very well, and how can I incorporate them into my life?
yeah.
So yeah,
We're very similar because, yeah, I don't like to sit still and just do the one thing. And quite interestingly, giving up my classes recently, people have said to me, "So what's next?" And it's like, well, I've got all these ideas.
yeah,
You know, the podcast being one of them. I have my day job. I've got some other plans in there. You know,
yeah.
hopefully coming soon. Um, but I think that's the joy of life, isn't it? Like, I want you to go back a little bit to talk about when you were a teacher, because you probably didn't have much time to do all these other things.
No,
So how did you get into teaching?
when I was in school, shock, horror, surprise, gay,
Yeah.
bullied, no surprises there. But like I remember being in primary school and having the best experience, like the best time of my life.
Really?
All the kids in primary school, like I remember going to the football pitch to watch my friends who were boys playing football and cheering for them, and they would come to the theater to watch me in an Irish dancing not costume, Irish dancing competition. So like I just remember when I look back, I'm like, wow, we all really as little kids just loved each other's differences and really like celebrated. And
Yeah.
so that's my experience at primary school. Then I went to high school. Not such a pretty story. I just remember, yeah, high school was just a really rough time. Um,
Had you come out as gay?
no. So I was in high school a long time ago. And back then it wasn't like
And where did you grow up?
Northern Ireland in a little town called Portadown,
Okay.
just outside of Belfast. If you've never heard of Portadown, if you Google it, you will see all the bad things about Northern Ireland. Um, anyway, we digress. Um, I wasn't out then. When was that? That was probably like I was probably in high school in 1998, 99.
Okay.
It was probably like my first year of high school.
Yeah.
So it wasn't kind of acceptable back then. Like there
No.
wasn't any gay people in your class.
Yeah.
There was people that everyone thought was gay, me. But it wasn't, nobody was openly gay.
Yeah.
And I just remember coming from primary school where I had like girls and boys as friends when we celebrated each other, to then going to this kind of rigid structure of the boys are here and the girls are here. And there was no like, there was no, even my school, even my school was the school that my parents went to.
Okay.
And back in their days, it was literally a boys half and a girls half. But by the time I went to it, it kind of molded,
Yeah.
but apart from lunchtimes because the boys and the girls weren't allowed to mix. And there's me who like all my friends that were boys in primary school went to the boys' school
Yeah.
in the town next door. And I just wanted to stay at a school that my parents went to. So all the friends that I took from primary school were girls. And
Right.
I just wanted to hang out with my
Yeah.
girls. And I wasn't allowed to. So like sometimes I would like try to sneak into the girls' foyer and eat my sausage roll, like hiding under the stairs with the girls. And then you just get this teacher come up and just be like, Michael. And you're just like, I can see my face now, like my big eyes just wanting to burst out and cry. Like,
Yeah.
give me a break. Like, I have no friends. My friends are here. Like, but back then it was just like this simple rule: boys, girls. So
That's
you need to
crazy.
go here. And it got so bad that like I actually like started to take lunch at home. I would just walk home. It would take me like 10 minutes to walk home, 10 minutes to walk back, so like
Wow.
5 minutes to eat my lunch. And I would sit and have like a sausage roll with my mum, which was a nice part of the day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she would always have my sausage roll waiting for me and a glass of milk. And then she'd always be like, "How's school today?" And I remember I'd always just be like, "Yeah, yeah, fine, did this and this and this." But inside, I was like absolutely breaking. Um, so that was my experience of school. Um, Bullied every day, spat at, hit.
Really?
Yeah, I remember walking down the school corridor and somebody just called me a pansy and spat in my face.
Wow.
Um, at moments like that, we were just like, I'm just being me. Like I'm
Yeah.
just walking down the corridor,
Yeah.
living my life, and I get there was nothing really that in my mind. The only thing was I was really good at art. I would hang out in the art room. I would maybe be in the school choir. So like I guess to most boys that wasn't
Yeah.
masculine.
Yeah.
Um,
And so is that where you found your skills for art and
yeah,
creating art?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which I'm very grateful for. I went through like maybe 4 or 5 years of not telling anyone I was getting bullied. Um, but then I remember one parent teacher evening. In England here, you have to go in with your parent for parent
Yes.
teacher meetings, but in Ireland, where I come from, you didn't. But I remember this one time my geography teacher specifically requested that my parents bring me with them.
Wow.
And I was thinking, what have I done? It's like I'm literally like an A-star student. I do everything I'm supposed to. I was like, does he know I'm gay? What the hell? Like, what have I done? And I sat down and my geography teacher was praising me, everything that I'm good at, and then he was like, but there's only one thing I don't like about your son. My parents were like, what? What's wrong with our Michael? Um, and he said because he's lying to me, and I was just like,
Huh?
I'm not lying. And he kind of like he's very dramatic about it. And he was like, aren't you lying to me, Michael? And I was like, no. What am I lying about? And he goes, because you're getting bullied. And I just remember the tears just went, and I feel like it
Wow.
was maybe it was like a moment of somebody sees me,
Yeah.
and I felt like people didn't see me.
Yeah.
Why am I getting emotional? Whoa. um, and I feel like for him to say you're getting bullied, and then my parents to see it, it was like, oh my god, I can breathe, and like I don't. It just felt like somebody was giving me a hug just from him saying like I see
Yeah.
this, and he was just like, wait, we need to sort this out.
Did things change from then?
I wouldn't. They didn't change for the better. Like there was people brought in and talked to, but like the bullying still happened until the day I left. But I guess the main change was that I had learned to like speak up. If somebody was bullying me or spitting in my face, I could go to the head teacher and say, "Listen, this person did
Yeah.
this to me." Whereas before, I was just accepting it because I thought it's what I deserved.
Okay.
So I guess the reason I got into teaching is
Yeah.
because Mr. McConville, who's my geography teacher, legend, I kind of felt like I wanted to be the Mr. McConville for kids of today.
Yeah.
Um, if I could just do that for one kid. So that's kind of what got me into teaching. I thought I want to give this a go, see if I can be that person. And that's what led me down the road of teaching in London for 4 years.
So how did you get to London? Like, why
Um,
London?
London because I'd never been before, but the year before my friend had moved to London to do a musical theatre degree, who I knew from my Amdram days. And I went to visit her and I stayed with her for like a weekend and I was like, whoa, there's a world outside of Portadown, outside my small town.
Yeah.
And I just remember not wanting to leave.
Really?
I just, and also because like as a little gay boy from back, like I was like, everyone just seems like they can be themselves here and everyone's authentic. And my friend Kate was like, and there's a gay bar here and there's a gay bar there and there's a gay bar there. And I was like, gay bars for everyone. Like it was just, I was like, why would I ever want to leave here? I feel
Yeah.
like so. And I went to see 5 shows in one weekend. I was like, I need to come back here.
Yeah.
So I kind of got it into my head that in some way I want to move to London. But at that point, I had just finished my graphic design degree.
Okay.
I was doing some graphic design jobs and not really feeling like I was getting from it what I wanted.
Yeah.
And one of my friends had just completed his PGCE, his teaching course. And I just messaged him on Facebook at the time. Facebook. Do you still have Facebook?
I do, but only to look at the Starlight Express fan group.
Oh my God, Isaac, sort that out. Don't be doing that. You delete your Facebook. You've got Starlight Express coming home to you every night.
I know,
You know?
I know. It's sad, isn't it? Maybe once it's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I remember I messaged my friend on Facebook and I was like, how did you do this? Like, and he told me about like teaching courses. Then I started to research like teaching courses in London because I was like, maybe this is my way to get to London.
Yeah.
And one came up in Goldsmiths University, which is, when I researched it, it was basically a university that trains artists to be teachers rather than just train you to be a teacher. So
Right,
like it's a
okay.
very like academic, like artistic course
Yeah.
that was really hard to get into. And whenever I researched it, I was like, one of the Queen's nieces or something went there, and I was like, this little boy from Portadown has no hope. But I was like, "Do you know what? I kind of got my head set on it, and I was like, I could go do this in Belfast, I could go do it in Liverpool,
Yeah.
or I could go to one of the not so good universities in London. But I was like, there's something about this that's like calling for me.
Yeah.
So I applied, went to London, stayed with my friend for the interview.
Interview, yeah.
And I remember walked in, there was like 100 people at that interview for this one course, and they were only accepting 10 candidates. And again, negative self-talk, I'm not good
Yeah.
enough. And I walked in, and there was two people that were head of the course. It was kind of like Simon Cowell and Sharon Osbourne walking in. They were both so well dressed, and I was like, why is my whole life like an X Factor audition?
Yeah,
Oh
literally.
my God.
I love it. I can see the theme.
Wow. And they both walked in, and the woman spoke. She was Australian.
Yeah.
And then the man opened his mouth, and he was from Belfast. And I was like, oh,
There's your in.
he's going to love me. He is going to love me. And he did. And I realized I was maybe like the token Irish guy, because you need diversity in your cohort.
Yeah.
But I got it, and I was one of 10 people who got into that
That's
course.
amazing.
So I moved to London, went to Goldsmiths University, and graduated as a teacher.
How long did you teach? Did you teach for?
Too long.
Too long.
Well, 4 years.
4 years.
And if I'm honest, like I really, and this is what I said to you earlier about like kind of having the itch to like scratch other things that I'm really good at. I do miss some elements of school teaching.
Yeah.
I was so good at it. I did it for 4 years. In my first year, deer in headlights, what is going on? Second year, got comfortable. Third year, like really found my groove. And then the fourth year, I was head of year 7 and second in charge of the art department. So I had like all these like respectable titles and promotions. But it just started to wear me down.
Yeah.
Like you said, I didn't have time to do like my creative outlets. And the reason I left is because, like I said, I got into teaching to be the Mr. McConville. I wonder if Mr. McConville's still alive. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally thinking about him right now.
I was
What
just
is he
thinking it.
doing?
I know.
I need to get on like
Facebook.
Okay, I'll get Facebook back again. I'll see you on the Starlight Express. Family.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I wanted to be that guy. And what I found sadly as I went through school teaching is it's less about the kids and it's more about Ofsted and how the school appears and the numbers and like
Ratings,
what your
right?
Ofsted rating is and
Yeah.
how many kids get these levels grades.
Yeah.
And it just, I guess I was naive
Yeah.
and didn't realize that. But in my last year, I was head of year 7, which is a job like that's my biggest, happiest achievement of being a school teacher. Like,
I mean, that's quite impressive.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when I not audition, why do I keep saying audition? When I applied for head of year, they told me when I walked into the not audition, interview. Whoa, this is when you know your boyfriend's in theatre.
I know.
When I walked into the interview, they were like, "Okay, Michael, just so you know, like we're interviewing you out of formality, but you're going to be a head of year." And I was like, "Oh, so do I have to answer all these questions?" And they're like, "Yes, but you've got the job." And then they said, "But we only want you for year 7." And I remember at the time I was so disappointed because I loved my my A level students because
Yeah.
I got on so well with them and like it was just like easy to teach them and I felt like a big uncle to them, like nurturing them and giving them advice. And I was like, "Year 7s, why?" And they were like, "But they need somebody like you who's like open minded and who can like really nurture them and like actually look after them." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," I was like, "This is my chance to be Mr. McConville."
One of the things that you've spoken about on whether it's SoulCycle, interviewing to be a teacher, getting into university, is this thing that a few people have mentioned, which I think is cool, is basically imposter syndrome. How do you overcome that?
It's definitely a journey. I would love to sit here and say that I've got it down to a T,
Yeah.
but I just think everyone gets it. Even
Yeah.
the people you probably think have all their shit together and are the most confident and perfect people, I think everyone gets it. So for me, it's not like controlling it, it's just knowing that it's normal and like reminding myself that I'm human and not everything I do is going to be perfect. So
Yeah.
in the moments where I doubt myself, I'm just like, MJ, you're just a guy doing his best. Like, stop being so hard on yourself. And also, I like to remind myself of everything I have achieved because if I was to look at my like CV of what I've done since I graduated university, like I've done a lot of different jobs and done them very well. So if I ever have negative self talk, I'm like, well, if you're really that bad, would you have been able to do all of these different careers? Um, so yeah, I think it's just being like kind to yourself and like, what's the word? Like giving myself some grace and reminding myself that I'm just human.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you deal with it? Oh,
Uh,
sorry, the tables have turned. Why am I interviewing you?
I know
What's
this
going
never
on?
happens. How do I deal with it? Yeah, I think it's just keep reminding yourself like how far you've come, right? It was interesting when you were talking about how long you've been at SoulCycle. I had this reflection period yesterday. I left my permanent classes, and I was thinking during my last track, which was a real heavy, long track. I was like, wow, I've come so far in terms of how I used to coach to now, and I walked away feeling good. Like I've left it in a great place. I've got to a great point. I feel much more confident. I know what I'm doing when I walk into that room. So it's just taking time.
Yeah. I feel like, is it right to call it like intruder syndrome or like, what does RuPaul call it?
Oh, I don't
That
know.
where he says self saboteur.
Yes.
I know that because Osher watches RuPaul all the time. Um, like I feel like everyone just has it, and I've actually had it recently this past week. So with my job at SoulCycle, I was up for promotion.
Yeah.
Um, this is now my 5th year. I should have been reaching what's called senior instructor this year. Um, but I just missed it by a very
Yeah.
small amount,
Yeah.
Isaac. Um, so initially I was like very upset, and then the first thing that happens is I'm not good enough. I remember talking to Asher about it and saying I feel like I failed. Like I failed at life. Like I'm 38. I should have got a promotion this year. I didn't. So I was like automatically bashing myself. Like you failed. You're not good
Yeah.
enough to get a promotion. People. I'm telling myself like people on the outside that come to my classes are going to be judging me because I didn't get it. Like all of these things are coming in, and it's only like I was actually teaching a class today, and I told my writers because, like I say, I'm very open with them. I told them I didn't get senior this year because they've kind of been part of the journey with me.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And during the class, during like the final like run, the final part
Yeah.
of class, I was like, but you know what? I'm going to label myself because nobody else labels me. So I was like putting on this fake crown. I was like, I am an amazing instructor. I'm a talented instructor.
Yes.
I'm a quirky instructor. I was like all these different things, and
Yeah.
everyone was like, yes, MJ.
Yeah.
And I just in that moment, I was like, I've allowed a company, for example, or a big beast of a machine because they have not put a title on me, then my negative saboteur come into my head and was like, "You're a failure. You haven't done well enough. You're this and that." And I'm glad that like a little moment like that today
Yeah.
has let me see, whoa, stop going down that road.
Yeah.
We don't go down that road anymore.
Yeah.
That road's not a good road. Let them.
Let them.
Yes.
They're not going to promote you this
Shout
year.
out
Let
to
them.
Mel
Mel,
Robbins.
Mel Robbins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I guess just as I said, like it's never I wish I could sit here and say, yeah, I've got it under control, but I'm never going to have that under control. It's
no.
just realizing when it comes in and being like, whoa,
You can just do the best that
revert.
you can do, and you
Yeah,
know that you have done the best that you can
yeah,
do. And if that doesn't meet their standards this year, then okay,
yeah.
it's upsetting. It's a setback.
But
Um,
it's not a failure.
it's not a failure, but it does also maybe give you a little bit of motivation to channel your energy in different ways that
Yeah,
had you have got it and you've slipped into that nice and easy, then maybe you wouldn't have. So
yeah,
be interesting to see where your next year takes you.
yeah.
So you moved to London for university. How are those first few years? Living your best self? Best life?
Not really,
No?
because I went in straight in to do a teaching degree, which is basically like full time every day when you're not in school, having kids scream at you. You're at home planning lessons, and then you have
Yeah.
your dissertations to write and your lectures. The first year was awful. Um, second, third, fourth year, straight into being a teacher. Um, so I'd say my first 5 years, like they were good because I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
didn't really feel like me.
Okay.
I went straight into this like professional career where I felt like I had to be Mr. Johnson. I had to be serious and like just professional. And I'm like, this isn't me. I don't want to be like serious.
How
Um,
is it quite hard to then balance like a social life?
as a school teacher, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
In case you're going to get caught
I
or
didn't
like
have
people
one.
see you or
Yeah, like, well, I wouldn't have been bumping into my kids at heaven, but
true.
um, but I definitely saw them in Tesco's, which is awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, social life, it was okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
I was just like a normal young 20-something-year-old going
Yeah.
out on a Saturday
Going
night
out.
and then regretting it on the Sunday morning and then going to work on Monday feeling like I didn't have a weekend and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
But that's what you do when you're in your 20s, isn't it? You just,
Exactly. Yeah. I remember coming to London, coming out at 22, and it was like, yeah, heaven every Friday, Saturday night for that first year was intense. Lots of drinking, lots of whatever. And so now, skip forward a few years, you've given up alcohol. How did that come about?
I'm an Irish man that doesn't drink.
I know.
I'm really letting the side down. Um, that kind of happened just like 2 years and 1 month ago.
Okay.
Um, and first of all, I didn't have a problem with drinking. I was never like addicted to drinking. I was just like, a normal person. The weekend comes,
Yeah.
you go for a drink. So yeah, just normal drinking on the weekends. And about 3 years ago, basically me and my friend, who was my flatmate at the time, she's my best friend, Candy. That's her name, Candy. Actually, her name's Candida. Do you know
Candida.
what Candida is?
No.
It's thrush. So her parents called her Candida. Who does that
Why?
to their kid? Anyway, my best friend Candy, sidetrack. She was my flatmate for a year, and we both um became single at the same time,
Okay.
and both came out of like 9.5 year relationships. So we kind of like we just held each other in those like single years. Um, so we kind of went through our like we're single again
Yeah.
period together, and that went on for 3 years because I was single for 3 years. And the first year of that was like we're single, we're young, we're hot, let's go out, and we did that a lot.
Yeah.
And because I'm an Irish man, I don't know when to stop drinking when I'm out, and I would get messy, regret everything the next day, but still have a really good time. The second year of that, maybe stopped a little bit. I was like, okay, I can't go out every weekend. This is just really. And then the third year, um, I went out one night with my friends, and we went to remember GIY Late,
Yes.
the one that's just like has the music videos playing on the
I
screen.
loved it.
You need to be drunk in there because they're just playing like MTV hits on the
I
on
know,
the
it's crazy.
TV. But I went there with some of my friends, and we had a nice little time. And then my housemate Candy was like, "I'm going home, so you come with me," because we would always go home together, look after your housemate. And I think I had like 3 beers, and 3 beers to me was like, "Okay, I'm tipsy now." And I was like, "Oh, but I don't want to go home." Just
Yeah.
like I'm having a good time. I don't want to go home. She's like, "Well, Michael or MJ, I'm going home."
Yeah.
And then I had basically been talking to these girls and some guys in the club, and they were standing outside, and they were like, "We're not going home. We're going to this club." And like this is another reason when you've had like a couple of drinks, a bad idea that everyone can see is a bad idea looks like a really good idea to you. And I just
Yes.
remember thinking, hey, you stranger that I've just been talking to for 5 minutes, we're going to go to a club together. And I just remember my friend Candy being like, MJ, come home
Yeah,
with me,
don't do
Uber.
that.
And I was like, oh no, I'm going to go with these guys. I've known for
Yeah.
5 minutes. So I went to a club called Fire,
Yes.
which I'd never heard anything about, never been before. And I remember I got there, and so I'd had 3 beers, and then I walked to the bar, and the bar was empty. And I remember just being like, this is a Saturday night. Where is everyone? And I said to one of the barmen, I was like, what? Why isn't nobody at the bar? And he was like one of these mean guys who just looked me up and down and went and walked away. And I was just like,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
And then a friendlier barman came along. He was like, oh, are you new here? And I was like, yeah. He said, the bar's empty because look around. How many people are wearing sunglasses? How many people like are chewing their faces? And I was like, and
All on
still I
drugs,
was
right?
like, huh? And he was like, drugs, my friend, drugs. And I was like, oh, like, okay, so the bar's empty because people aren't drinking. I was like, right, great news for me. I just want a beer. I don't want to be doing drugs.
Yeah.
So I had a Budweiser, had my thumb in it because that's just the way I roll. And I remember going to the dance floor. The people that I'd came with were nowhere to be found. So then I was in this club by myself, and I was just like, oh shit. And I just remember feeling like it's a space that I didn't feel like I belonged in. I was in a cute outfit. Like I was looking cute and everyone had
I'm
their shirts
sure.
off or wearing harnesses, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong, this is not for me. And no judgment to that because like
Yeah.
one thing I love about London is the fact that there's so many different queer spaces for people, whatever they identify with.
Yeah.
If that's what you identify with, that's your space.
Yeah.
I'm like, go live your life. Like that's what I love about London.
Yeah.
But I just remember at that point I was like, I don't belong here right now. If I took my shirt off, I probably would have fitted in, but I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not. And I just remember feeling uncomfortable. And then I don't remember anything.
Uh,
And I just remember waking up, I'd lost my phone. I didn't know where I was. Really freaked me out. And it was like, and for me, the alcohol didn't do it to me. Somebody's obviously spiked my drink with whatever. But the fact that I got into that situation is because I made an error of judgment because I had 3 beers. And I just remember thinking, maybe alcohol isn't for me. Um, that didn't stop me though. I remember I went for like a month after. I would go for friends and like have a drink in a pub, but I'd just have one, and then I'd be
yeah.
like, I'm just having cokes now, Coca Colas. And then I was like, I think I just need to give it up altogether. Um, and from having that experience, it made me realize part of the reason I did drink alcohol, which when I reflect, it's actually really sad for me to like process it. I'd like therapize myself. I think I drank a lot to feel like I belonged in spaces.
Yeah.
And I think that stems back to like not feeling like I belonged in school and not feeling like I belonged in a room I walked into, which is probably why when I walked into auditions or interviews, I always told myself I don't belong. So whenever I was going out for like social nights out, I would always be thinking these people are going to be so much more interesting than me, so much more attractive than me,
Yeah.
probably have better stories to tell than me. So I need like a bit of that Dutch courage.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I drank was always to like to relax me, to feel comfortable, to be more out there when I'm out socializing. But when I think about it, it's like that drinking wasn't really letting me be me. It was actually projecting this like false, more confident version of MJ that I'm really not. Um,
Well, it's creating a persona
yeah,
that you can't live up to unless you're having drink,
that I'm
which is
not
a slippery road.
outside of a club.
Yeah.
And I remember I should pay myself because I've therapized myself. But I remember coming to that realization and being like, that's not a good reason to drink. And also, I'm not allowing the people that I'm socializing with or mixing with to actually meet me because my friends would tell me stories like after a night out and be like, do you remember you like were swinging on this lamppost or dancing on this table? And I'm like, I wouldn't do that on a Monday to Friday. That
Yeah.
I would never have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that wasn't me then. That was this intoxicated version of me that isn't me. So I remember thinking to myself, okay, that's not a good reason to drink.
No.
So I gave up for a month. I told myself I'm just going to have no alcohol for a month and just see how I feel. And I remember I went for a night out at Freedom Bar
Yeah.
with my friends. And I was so nervous because I was like, everyone's going to be drunk. Everyone's going to be off their tits. And I'm just going to be this sober guy in the corner, like, hi. But I remember I walked in, the first song that was playing was S Club 7, Reach for the Stars. And I was like, clear the dance floor. I am home. And I
Yeah.
went to the dance floor, no alcohol. I was dancing. I was just having a good time. And I was like, I don't need this alcohol. And that made me realize if you're in the right space,
Yes. With
where
the
you
right people.
the right people, the right type, just the right environment that
Yeah.
you feel comfortable in,
Yeah.
you don't need it. And I think the biggest learning curve for me, being sober now for 2 years, is that I think I, I've like allowed people to meet me, and I've actually had like on nights out really good conversations with people where I can, because previously I was telling myself I'm not interesting enough for people to talk to on a night out, but now when I'm out, I'm like, I'm telling people my story. I'm talking
Yeah.
to people about life, and I'm like, actually, MJ, you're a really good crack. Like you're
Yeah.
good fun. You don't need, I don't need the alcohol just to be relevant, to be in the room. So that's been like the biggest learning curve for me, not being on alcohol, and actually a big confidence boost to know
Yeah.
that like if I'm in the right space, I don't need a mask of alcohol. I'm enough as I am. Which is, whoa, actually saying that out loud is like quite powerful.
Yeah. You can
Yeah,
listen to this part back many
yeah,
times.
on repeat.
Well, good for
Yeah,
you. You found yourself in a good place.
yeah,
Yeah. What a journey you've had in your adult years. If you think
yeah,
back to that kid at school,
yeah,
you must be proud.
yeah,
And I think it's on occasions like this where you sit down and just lay it all out. You'll
yeah.
probably go home later, or when you listen to it back, hopefully you'll
Cry.
really have a little cry. Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
But yeah, you've done some amazing things.
yeah.
So thinking about that, what are some of your big life lessons or bits of advice that you might want to give someone else?
My biggest life lesson, if I had to put it into a sentence, is like I've learned like to love who I am, which is pretty major for me
Yeah.
because obviously speaking about my childhood and being bullied, and I never really loved myself, and always kind of, because everyone else didn't accept me for
Yeah.
who I was, I always thought there was something wrong with me, which again is probably why I would go into auditions and interviews and think I'm not good enough. Like everything has a knock-on effect. But now that I look back at everything I've done, and I'm at a stage in my life now where I feel appreciated and loved, and like I'm very comfortable in who I am as a person, I can say I love myself. Which, if you had have asked me that a couple of years ago, I'd be like, "That's cheesy. I don't love myself." Like, and it's not in a cocky like I love myself. Like I love this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I don't love this, but I love my character and who I am as a person and what I stand for, and I just love me.
Yeah.
And I
Good for
think
you.
I wish I could have done that earlier
Yeah.
because I feel like I was going to say I feel like I've wasted some years not loving myself, but I think that was essential for me
Yeah.
to learn all of that to get to where I am now. Um,
We're always in a rush to fix ourselves.
yeah,
We're always in a rush to look better, to feel better, to whatever. We just need to take it as it comes.
yeah,
And that's coming from a place from me where I've spent the last almost 3 years in therapy every Wednesday at lunchtime. And I'm okay to talk about that,
yeah,
but it's taken a long time to get there. And of course, I still have doubts and moments where I'm like, oh, I just want to get there quicker and
yeah,
feel better quicker. But it's part of the process. And actually taking longer at something and really working through it, hopefully will be more sustainable
yeah.
that you feel this way. So good for you.
So anyone that's not loving themselves, just skip all these years and just like realize you're amazing the way you are. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Coffee. Do you like coffee?
Yes.
What's your go-to coffee order?
My go-to coffee order is, it depends on the weather.
Okay.
If it's cold, I also need a hot coffee. So it's
Yes.
an oat latte with salted caramel syrup
Ooh, nice.
because I like something sweet.
Yeah.
If it's warm, I need a cold coffee, and it's an oat chai latte with vanilla syrup. Have you ever tried that combination?
I have not. Very
You-
specific.
It's the sweetness of the vanilla,
Yeah.
and then the like spiciness of the chai, and then the oat milk. It's just,
I will give
so
that a go,
good.
actually. I
You,
don't say that
you
to anyone else.
you're never going to look back. Trust me. Your life is going to be changed.
Okay, I'll give that a go. Any go-to coffee shops?
the same one as Asher.
Starbucks. I
Yeah,
knew you were going to say
but
Starbucks.
it's just like so handy.
Yeah.
Um,
You've got one close to where you live
yeah,
as well, haven't you?
and you can order on the app and get your wee rewards,
Yeah.
earn your stars, and get free syrups. Like,
Good for
what's
you.
not to love?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it also like reminds me of when me and Asher first started dating. There's a Starbucks right next to my flat, and like I'd walk him to work, and we'd get a Starbucks
Oh,
together, and then he'd go to work, and I'd be like, bye.
so
So
romantic.
it's like every time we go to a Starbucks, I always have those little
Yeah.
moments. So
Yeah.
Starbucks for the coffee and the sentimental
Perfect.
aspect.
Good. So sticking on the coffee theme, if you could have coffee with anyone, dead or alive, have you got anyone in mind?
Oh, yeah,
Go on.
my granda. Who's dead, by the way? because anyone was wondering.
I didn't want to ask.
You were like, oh, should we get him in? Yeah, my granny and granda, Jerry and Mary. Just because they're both dead now. And I have like such happy memories from them as a kid.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I moved to London and would maybe come home at Christmas time. And I just think they were always like so good to me and like shaped me into who I am now.
Yeah.
And I just want to like talk to them again. Just
Yeah.
be like, are you proud of me?
Yeah.
Give them a hug. So yeah, just a little coffee, catch up with them. It'd probably be tea because they're Irish. It'd be a cup of tea.
It's going to say, yeah.
But yeah,
So maybe not your Starbucks order.
no,
No.
they wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose like a celebrity or something like that to be a bit less morbid, I think it would be Taylor Swift.
I was going to say Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Just because I feel like I respect her artistry and
Yeah.
like what she's done with her career. And also to have somebody that's had so many haters, which is something I can
Yes.
relate to. I'm like, how do you take that and make this? Like, I have so much respect for that. So I'd love
Yeah.
to like chat with her and be like, Taylor, these are some ideas I have for things I want to do. How would you
I love that.
recommend I get there?
Yeah, I
She's
love
a
that.
good businesswoman, so I think she'd be good to talk business with.
Definitely.
I wouldn't want to be talking about her songs. I'd be like, listen,
You
tell
can show
me-
off what you've done at SoulCycle.
yeah, tell me, let's talk business.
So you've been on a massive journey from younger years, moving to London, university, art teacher, into SoulCycle instructor. You mentioned a 9-year relationship that sadly come to an end, but things are looking up. So you've got a boyfriend that we had on this podcast, Asher.
Yes.
How's that going?
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah, very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like yeah, anytime anytime somebody asks me about like my relationship or my boyfriend, I just get like
Flustered.
speechless or just like smile or just, and that's, I feel like a teenager.
No,
But-
it's fine. I mean, if anyone's not watching this episode on YouTube, which you can, you've got a big smile on your face and quite lost for words.
Yeah.
So how did that came along recently, fairly recently,
Yeah.
right? How long has it been now?
We met in July,
Oh,
the 21st of July.
Okay, it's coming up to a year.
But we officially became boyfriends on the 9th of October. But if you had have asked me, like in my head, he was my boyfriend from like August.
Yes.
And I think he's told me that he used to say in the dressing room to your husband,
Yes.
if he was talking about me, he would say, you know, my boyfriend that isn't my boyfriend. So I
Yeah.
think we were both kind of on the
Yeah.
same page. But for the sake of like anniversaries,
Yeah.
and when people ask the question, how long have you been together? I guess the official is 9th of October.
Fine.
Yeah, so it's still very new,
Yeah.
but also it feels like I've known him forever. And I can honestly say I've never been happier
Yeah.
in my life. Like I've never felt what I feel for him, for anyone before,
Yeah.
which is wild. Because if you had met me a year ago, I was not looking for a boyfriend. I was very much that person that would see a happy couple and be like, ugh. If I saw you and Oscar walk down the street holding hands, I'd be like, oh, please. You're so happy. I'm so happy for
Sorry.
you. Like I was just in that negative
Yeah.
mindset of that's not for me. And I know that's because of my past relationship and what happened in that relationship. I just thought that all gay men are a certain type and want the same thing.
Yeah.
And I had trust issues, and I was like, I will never have a boyfriend
Yeah.
ever again.
So what was it about Asher?
I think without sounding corny, it's like you just know when you meet somebody
Yeah.
if there's like a genuine connection and you click, and we clicked,
Yeah.
and it's just been. I think what it's been with Asher, it's just been so natural, and it's been like a river that's just like flown. We've just like got to know each other and taking it slowly, which I think was really important for me. I think what I respected about Asher is like maybe a month in, he asked me the question, "What do you want from this?" And me being like, I've been single for 3 years, I was like, there's the question. And my first reaction in here was like, oh my God, this is a bit intense. Like, I've only been like seeing you casually for 4 weeks. But then my brain was just going, actually, this is, I need to give him some credit because
Yeah.
in my head, all gay men just want one thing
Yeah.
and are like going on a date with you, but then on Hinge or other apps and being
Yeah.
like, well, what else is out there?
Yeah.
And then seeing somebody on the Thursday and then coming to you on the Friday. So
Yeah.
I was like, actually, this is everything that I've been saying all gay men are this, but then here's this person saying to me, but what do you want from this?
Exactly.
And I was like, I just remember having such respect, being like, fair play. You're like putting your cards on the table. And I just remember being like, I can't say I'm looking at a boyfriend right now because that scares the shit out of me. But I can tell you that I really like you and I won't hurt you because I like you that much. So
Yeah.
if we go along in a week's time and I'm like, this is too much, I'm scared, this is too much for me, I'm not ready for this, I will tell you when I feel it
Yeah.
because I respect you.
And he gave you that space to be able to
Yeah.
do that as well, which is great.
And he was just like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
No
all I need to know.
pressure.
There was like, that's answered my question.
Yeah.
So we had like a mutual respect there.
Yeah.
And then we took it slowly. And then also along the way, like, because there's an age difference with me and Asher,
Yeah.
um, he kind of didn't want to tell his family because he was afraid of what his family would think. So I gave him space and respect and time there.
Yeah.
So I think the whole way along, we've just been patient with each other and listened to what each other wants. And that's naturally then developed into like a mutual respect,
Yeah.
as well as genuinely like liking each other as humans.
Well, yeah.
And then,
Me and Oscar met you, and we all went for coffee, and you can just tell you're comfortable with each other. It's calm.
yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I like him because he's a northerner. He's just very like,
Yeah.
he's not like pretending to be something he's not.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm in the arts. He's just like, I'm an actor
Yeah.
on a show. He's just like, he's very humble,
Yeah.
and I come from the same kind of background.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of naturally developed. And then I asked him, "Would you be my boyfriend?" And he paused, and he kept me hanging for like a half an hour. And I was like, "This isn't the way this is supposed to go." But long story short, he said yes, and we've been together ever since. And like, he's genuinely like the best part of every day.
Yeah.
And I'm in
Yeah.
love.
Ah. Well,
Yeah.
that is a happy ending to
Yeah.
your story, and long may it continue. Time for the quick fire round. Are you ready?
Hold on. Hit me.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
I cuddle Asher. Yeah.
Lucky guy.
Yeah. Because he's usually still asleep. And I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
Wake up. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a morning person, is he? I
No.
remember him telling me.
What was his answer?
He go on TikTok.
Oh.
Be honest, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Always?
Yep.
Do you like tea?
I do like tea, but kind of, it would be like a rare occasion. If I'm at home in Ireland, my mum's like, "Do you want a cup of tea?"
Yeah.
It's like every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just had a cup of tea, mum. But yeah, so
Good.
I guess if I'm in Ireland, it's more tea.
Yeah.
But here, coffee.
A guilty pleasure you'll never give up.
Oh, 90s pop.
90s pop.
Yeah.
Really?
It's of my Think like the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Like proper like girl band, boy bands.
Music is not the same
No.
now.
And like Bewitched. Like I was in
Bewitched.
I was in the Bewitched fan club. Is it any wonder I got bullied? I was in the Bewitched fan. I had a fan club card.
Is Sophie Ellis-Bextor of that time? Slightly later.
I think she's more like 2000s.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
like we love Sophie.
Yeah.
Sophie's like a queen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those like like Backstreet Boys, like like Atomic, like 90s
Atomic Kitten.
pop bands, and like
Whole Again.
I would like to say that Whole Again,
Tune.
epic. I would like to say that my music taste has varied and changed. Like
Yeah.
I am into like credible bands these
Yeah.
days. But I remember when I was growing up, like my brother would listen to Oasis, and I would listen to Bewitched. So my parents were like, "What the hell is going on?" But like, I just think I don't like go to my iPod now and like listen to the Spice Girls regularly.
Yeah.
But it's that nostalgia thing. Like they'll
Yeah.
always be in my catalog.
Yeah.
They'll always hold a special place in my heart. I wouldn't be bumping it really loud on the tube, but I'd be playing it like quite low.
Yeah.
So it's a guilty pleasure, but I'll never give it up.
I love that you also said iPod.
Did I?
Blast from the
I've
past.
never had an iPod.
Have you not?
No.
I used to have an iPod Nano. Remember the one you no screen? It was just literally a shuffle device. Favorite place you visited and why?
I would say probably New York. Just because it is like London,
Yeah.
but just in a different part of the world.
Yeah.
And I think I'll always love London. And if I was to move anywhere else, I would want it to be somewhere that has the same kind of heartbeat as London.
There's a slight different energy, I think.
Yeah, but it's like it has similarities.
Yeah.
It's a bit dirtier than London.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Favorite way to spend your day off with Asher?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously I see like friends and stuff, but
Yeah.
for me, it's like if you find somebody you can do the simple, easy, everyday things with, but they feel joyful. That's your person. So like just like doing nice things. Like Asher's weekend is Monday and Tuesday,
Yes.
so that's kind of our weekend. So we'll like plan like nice things to do, like
Nice.
activities, but just sitting watching TV,
Yeah.
watching The Crown. We're big into The Crown at the moment.
I love The
Have you
Crown.
watched it?
Yeah.
We're on season 6.
Perfect. I got Oscar to watch it all.
Asher got me to watch it, and at first I was like, I don't want to watch The Crown. I'm not interested in the royal family. And now every night when he gets home, I'm like, should we watch an episode, or maybe like, should we watch 2?
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, watching The Crown, maybe we'll go with that.
Yeah. If you could time travel, would you go forwards or backwards?
I'd probably go backwards
To when?
to little old me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like in this podcast, I've realized that I didn't like myself very much.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go back and be like, hey, I'm 38-year-old you coming to tell you that you look this good.
Exactly.
You're doing well, and stop doubting yourself. I'd probably just be like, you're going to go through this shit, but
You'll get that.
like you're going to be okay. So yeah, I'd go back.
What's the weirdest thing you've Googled recently?
Oh, I recently Googled 2 nights ago, can sleep paralysis kill you?
And
Why are
can
you
it?
laughing? That's not funny. Isaac.
Can it?
No, it can't. But
Well, that's a relief.
have you ever had sleep paralysis?
No, tell me.
Jeez. It's like you're sleeping, but there's like a demon or something in the room with you, and you're aware that you're sleeping. This is taking a dark turn.
Yes.
But you can't move. So you're like paralyzed in your dream.
Okay, I
state.
regret laughing. Sorry.
Yeah, you should. It's very serious. But I used to get it a lot when I was a school teacher because it's brought on by stress.
Yeah.
But I had it a couple of nights ago, and I woke up after like falling asleep 3 times, having sleep paralysis, waking up on the 3rd time. I thought I was dying in my sleep, and I remember I was like twitching my finger to try and wake myself up, and I was trying to call Asher's name because in my head I was like, I'm dying, I want to say goodbye.
Oh my God.
Right, dark. Maybe we'll just take this bit out. But but I woke up from the dream and I was like, and then I went to Google. I was like, can you actually die from sleep paralysis? The answer is no.
Good.
But yeah, just in case anyone's wondering, this might be helpful to somebody. You never know.
Yes, exactly. Well, we're going to end on a more joyful question. What is a small amount of joy you've experienced recently?
Watching Asher do the leading man in a show last week. Yeah, that's just always going to be. I'm just such a big support. I always want to support his career and never get in the way of it, and just seeing him do what he does so well just brings me joy. I'm so proud of him. So I think
totally
watching
relate to
him
that.
do the lead role last week was just like,
Yeah.
my little heart was just going, oh.
Good.
So yeah.
MJ, thank you for coming on ChatterBeans.
Thank you for
And
having me.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And just thanks for being so honest and sharing your incredible journey. Where can people connect with you, find out about your Taylor Swift Mondays, SoulCycle, and all of that stuff?
I think I don't have Facebook, as we've discovered, so don't be
Yes.
looking for me on Facebook because I'm not there. I'm on Instagram and TikTok.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll tag you in the description. So
Thank you so much.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
See you soon. Cheers.
Yay.